This guy is Jimmy Donaldson, also known as Mr. Beast, and he is the most subscribed individual on YouTube with over 300 million subscribers. He is known for posting extravagant, high-end productions where he claims to give away massive sums of money to friends, family, charity, and strangers, which has led to him being dubbed YouTube's biggest philanthropist, which all sounds great. Right? Now, Mr. Beast has been in the news a lot recently because of varying allegations and concerning details. However, in today's video, I'm going to be discussing another aspect of Mr. Beast's channel that nobody wants to talk about, and revealing why he isn't as nice as you think he is. However, before we dive any further into the video, I want to tell you all about today's partner, Complement, and in particular, their product, Complement Essential, which is a science-backed multivitamin specifically catered for those of us on a plant-based diet. What this means is that instead of being packed with fillers and nutrients that you don't need from a multi-supplement, well, Complement Essential instead is packed with essential nutrients like B12, DHA, vitamin D, and more, meaning that you can eat the healthiest and most sustainable diet while also protecting animals and yourself at the same time. Their supplements are also third-party tested, and supplements, well, they normally come in plastic packaging, but not with Complement because their packaging is compostable. And with your first order, you also get a reusable glass jar as well. Now, Complement also has a range of other products, including protein powders, creatine, gut nurturing powders, and a daily greens powder, all of which can further help you meet your fitness and health goals and showcase the positives of eating plant-based. Even better still, Complement are also offering 15% off their products when you use the code ED15. So make sure to click the link in my description now to find out more about Complement and to also get your hands on their products as well. So a huge thank you to Complement for partnering with me on today's video. And now let's talk about Mr. Beast. Given that his reach is so large and that the majority of his viewers are children and impressionable young people, well, you'd hope that Mr. Beast would consider the ethics of the products that he promotes. But instead of promoting companies that care about our health, animals, and sustainability, well, Mr. Beast, he does the opposite.
The sponsor of this video is dairy.
Now, one of Mr. Beast's most nefarious sponsors is the Dairy Checkoff program, which is a government-backed scheme that is there to promote dairy products and to drive up demand for dairy, often using exploitative marketing tactics.
Want strong bones? The calcium in milk helps make your bones strong.
Exhibit A, of course, is what's in front of us. They paid Mr. Beast to frame a promotional video for the US dairy industry as a competition on Minecraft.
I have 100 Minecraft players here and 100 plots of land. And whoever creates the best farm wins $50,000.
So essentially, he incentivized his audience to unwittingly participate in an advertisement for milk with the promise of winning money. And sadly, the manipulation doesn't stop there. During the video, he spoke about the supposed health and environmental benefits of dairy, as well as framing it as an ethical choice.
Now, while everyone is building, I want to tell you about the sponsor of this video, America's Dairy Farmers. America's Dairy Farmers wanted you to know that 95% of farmers, large and small, are actually family owned. And in case you don't know, drinking dairy is linked to some health benefits like reduced inflammation and a stronger immune system. And in a really pro-gamer move, Dairy Farmers of America are aiming to be carbon neutral by 2050. Now that's epic. On top of that, they are committed to the wellness of the cows, and they are only milked for around 20 minutes a day.
Okay, so let's start with the claim that 95% of dairy farms in the US are family owned. A statement that has no function other than to make the industry seem more wholesome and less harmful than it really is. We shouldn't be supporting the exploitation and abuse of cows for an unnecessary and violent product just because the people carrying out the violence might be related. What about their promise of carbon neutrality by 2050? Firstly, 2050 doesn't really make it seem like a priority, although I do actually have a foolproof way to make dairy farming sustainable. It's called veganism. And actually, the whole climate neutral term is a complete and utter sham. The term itself is being used by the animal farming industry as a red herring. Basically, it's based on this greenhouse gas metric called GWP star that is being used by the farming industry in a misleading way to make themselves seem less harmful than they actually are. Put simply, it is just industry propaganda. The problem is you would think that climate neutral means that the industry is no longer having a negative impact on the planet, but that's just simply not true. The dairy industry's supposed environmental targets are just a marketing strategy. It's not because the industry cares about becoming more sustainable or more ethical. The important thing for us always to remember is that milk stolen from animals will always be the least sustainable and indeed the least ethical. And perhaps the most egregious suggestion of all is that Mr. Beast implies that dairy farmers care about their animals because they only milk them for 20 minutes per day. Now, firstly, by insinuating that limiting the amount of time spent being milked is a good thing, the dairy industry is inadvertently admitting that the exploitation of cows for their milk is not actually in the best interests of the cows themselves. But aside from being a major own goal, this assertion completely and, dare I say, deliberately overlooks the point. You see, the problem is not simply how long cows are milked for. It's about the whole system of dairy farming. Cows are forcibly impregnated by farmers. They have their babies stolen from them at birth. And when their milk production declines, they are killed long before their natural lifespan. Dairy cows ultimately are bred into existence to live a life of misery and suffering, and also that we can needlessly exploit them to steal their breast milk. By channeling industry rhetoric through the mouths of popular gamers and YouTubers, the checkoff aims to convince young people to consume dairy by having their favorite content creators sell it to them, people they find relatable and funny. And also, while this video is framed as Mr. Beast giving away $50,000, whose money actually is it? Is it his own personal money? Or is that money from the dairy industry, which is on top of the money that they will have paid directly to Mr. Beast personally in order for them to be the sponsor of his video?
This is your sign to have a photo shoot at a dairy farm.
Even if you're not on a farm like me, I want you to duet this and show me how you're being sustainable.
Okay then, Jimmy, well, vegans are being sustainable by being vegan and eating a plant-based diet, which is supported by the scientific literature and according to the author of the largest study ever done looking at the effects of farming on the environment, is probably the single biggest way of reducing our impact on the planet. You see, Jimmy, talking about sustainability on a dairy farm is like talking about gambling awareness at Caesar's palace. And he says that a glass of cow's milk is made with 20% fewer emissions than 15 years ago, but he doesn't give any references or show any research to back this up, and that doesn't even mean that dairy would now be sustainable. But I guess if the dairy industry says that they're sustainable and ethical, well, we should just believe them, because they certainly have no reason to lie. But sadly, Jimmy's abuse of animals doesn't just stop there, because when he's done exploiting them for their milk, he moves on to their flesh. In 2020, Mr. Beast opened Mr. Beast Burger, a fast food chain which sells the flesh of cows, chickens, and pigs in around 2,000 locations worldwide.
We need 4 burgers!
Four burgers! I've never done this in my life.
Although it is a ghost franchise, mostly operating out of the kitchens of other restaurants, he did open one physical Mr. Beast location in New Jersey, which he claimed broke the record for most burgers sold by one restaurant in a single day. In other words, Mr. Beast broke the record for most animals killed for burgers by one restaurant in a single day. I mean, how many innocent beings were forced into a slaughterhouse for Mr. Beast's burgers? Does that fit in with Jimmy's brand of kindness and charity and generosity? The hypocrisy is just as glaring with his Team Trees initiative, campaign that he set up to restore degraded land by planting trees, including in the Amazon rainforest, an area which has been devastated by cattle farming for beef. In fact, beef production is the #1 driver of deforestation in South America and indeed globally. That's right, beef, the cornerstone of Mr. Beast Burger. The truth is, Mr. Beast is just engaging in positive PR for his own personal brand. But unfortunately, Jimmy's exploitation of animals doesn't end there.
This is 10,000 turkeys and we're gonna give them all away to people in need.
Now, some of you may be thinking, look, I know 10,000 animals have been killed for this, but come on, he's helping to feed families in need. However, that's not really the full picture, because while events like this are framed as charitable acts with purely altruistic intentions, they ultimately serve as promotional tools for Mr. Beast's brand and marketing for unethical corporations and companies, something which comes at the expense of animals, the planet, and indeed even the very people they claim to be helping. In this particular video, Mr. Beast partners with turkey producer Jennie-O, who just months before this video was exposed for horrific animal cruelty. Hundreds of turkeys at Jennie-O facilities died from heat stress in 6 separate incidents, after being left to endure over 90-degree Fahrenheit temperatures in direct sunlight with no proper ventilation. And another Jennie-O facility was caught running over birds with transport trucks, and another ranked as one of the worst slaughterhouses for birds in the US, with there being frequently malfunctioning stunning equipment that mutilated turkeys alive. Jennie-O was also previously implicated in a huge salmonella outbreak, which killed at least one person and made hundreds of others sick. But even if Jennie-O hadn't done the things I've just listed, even if they strictly followed what is legally allowed, that's still immoral. They're still causing suffering and harm and violence and still killing animals unnecessarily, which is immoral. The fact that they've gone beyond that and inflicted even more suffering and harm on these turkeys just further proves how morally bankrupt and unethical Jennie-O really is. I mean, what better way to distract people from such PR disasters than by staging a huge publicity stunt framed as a generous giveaway?
In case you're wondering how we got 10,000 turkeys to give away, they all actually came from Jennie-O. And the crazy thing is, this is their largest donation ever. Last year, they donated over 400,000 pounds of turkeys to people in need. Like this. Where'd you get that from?
I found it.
That's not fake?
This oven-ready turkey from Jennie-O?
Did they tell you to say that?
They did. They gave me $3 and a turkey. They're also pre-seasoned.
And more importantly, they gave us 10,000 turkeys to give away at this food drive, so I forbid you from buying a turkey from any other brand for this Thanksgiving.
This is the Thanksgiving turkey now.
Obviously, we couldn't have done it without them.
Now, it's obvious here what Jennie-O has to gain. They've got the most subscribed YouTuber on the planet, telling everyone how great they are and encouraging his millions of viewers and hundreds of millions of subscribers to buy their products. It's a win-win for Mr. Beast and Jennie-O, but it's a lose-lose for the animals, and it's not even necessarily in the best interests of the recipients of the turkeys either. Animal agriculture is a key driver of things like climate change, antibiotic resistance, and indeed pandemics. And animal products increase the risk of developing many different chronic diseases, something which, particularly in the US, affects poor and marginalized communities the most. Plus, Jennie-O's parent company was sued for artificially driving up the prices of pig meat in an illegal price fixing scheme, ultimately making it less affordable. So if you think this company really care about disadvantaged communities, well, think again. Do we really believe they care about helping vulnerable people and feeding the hungry? It's all about cleaning up their own image while continuing to cause so much harm and suffering to animals and indeed ultimately to the planet and inevitably to us as well. Now, is handing out free food to people a good thing to do? Sure, of course it can be. But that's actually a red herring argument, as doing a good thing doesn't make doing a bad thing okay as a consequence. Why not make it something that doesn't promote violence and that'll be better for the planet and people's health and of course animals? And this is actually a really important point. Mr. Beast could still make his viral videos, but without hurting animals. He can do giveaways. He could give away plant-based food. He could open up a plant-based restaurant, and ultimately, he could put his money where his mouth is about things like sustainability. Now, another initiative that Jimmy uses to greenwash himself is Team Seas, which is a campaign that he created to remove plastic from the ocean and has a focus on discarded fishing gear, also called ghost nets. Now, this is obviously beyond ironic for several reasons. Firstly, and most obviously, because Jimmy's not vegan and contributes directly to the problem of ghost nets by eating fish. Secondly, he promotes the consumption and unnecessary killing of fish for food, but also for entertainment. For example, he boasted about eating the world's most poisonous fish.
This is pufferfish, the most poisonous fish in the world.
And he also pays restaurants to make him their rarest and most excessive seafood dishes.
So this is octopus.
That's a flash rod shad roe, sashimi shrimp with the fried shrimp head.
Up next is $5,000 tacos. What makes them so expensive?
So what it makes is all the ingredients, the tuna, the caviar. The shell is made out of squid ink.
Is this how someone who cares about the ocean acts? Is this how someone who claims to care about the issue of ghost nets in the ocean acts? Simply put, if we want to tackle the issue of discarded fishing nets, we have to stop putting fishing nets in the oceans in the first place. If we want to protect our oceans, then the best and simplest thing that we can do is stop eating fish. Sadly, Jimmy is promoting the very thing that he is then asking people to donate to try and clean up. It's like him starting fires and promoting arson and then running a fundraiser for fire extinguishers. Or It's like him raising money for the Amazon, but promoting and profiting off of cattle farming. Even if Mr. Beast's philanthropy had only the best intentions, a few acts of kindness do not cancel out the massive systemic injustices and wrongdoings that he perpetuates every day of the week with things like his burger franchise, his glorification of mindless overconsumption, his treatment of animals, and his greenwashing of the worst and most harmful industries on the planet. And imagine the impact that Mr. Beast could have if he instead influenced people to stop giving their money to animal abusing, environment destroying businesses and instead encouraged them to embrace a plant-based vegan lifestyle, something that is truly compassionate. So Mr. Beast, it's time to align what you claim you care about with your actions as well. Let's not just talk about kindness and sustainability. Let's live in a way that actually embodies these values. And please, Jimmy, it's time to use your platform and business ventures to genuinely and meaningfully promote the ideals that you claim to care about. So that brings me to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. As always, I'd love to know down below in the comments what your thoughts are around the issues that I've discussed throughout. And I'd like to end by saying again, a huge thank you to Compliment for partnering with me on today's video. And as always, I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video.